So yesterday, our notes, bless you again, was 9.2 characteristics of quadratics. So our opener today is to find the vertex, the equation of the axis of symmetry, and the y-intercept. So how do I know that each of these are going to be a quadratic function? What's the giveaway that each of these equations are quadratic functions? Yeah, the exponent of 2, the degree of 2. So when we're doing this, before I can find the vertex, I actually have to find the equation axis of symmetry. So how do I find the equation axis of symmetry? There's a particular formula that I'm going to use here. Good. So we're going to have x equals negative b divided by 2a. Okay? And what do I substitute for my b? Okay, so I'm going to have negative, and then I substitute negative 8 divided by 2, and what do I substitute for a?
6.
What do I substitute for a?
For
2, yep, good. Because remember it goes a, b, c. Negative times a negative 8 equals positive 8, good. And then 2 times 2, and then we divide it out, and we end up with 2. So my axis of symmetry is going to be x equals 2. All right. So once we find the axis of symmetry, we can find our vertex. Now remember, our vertex is an ordered pair, and it's going to be the high point, which is the maximum, or the low point, the minimum, of our parabola. So to find the vertex, I know my x value, which we just said, the x value is going to be 2. How do I find my y value? How do I find my y value now? Any ideas? How do I find? So when I see that x, what should I substitute for it? What did I say x equals? 2. So what should I substitute for x? 2. So I'm using my original function, and every time I see that x, I'm going to substitute that value of 2. And so when I simplify it, I'm going to get what y equals here. So then we have to follow order of operations. So what do I do first according to order of operations? Logan, what do I do first up here, bud? Yeah. So what's 2 squared going to be? Yes, you do too. 2 squared. 2 times 2.
4. I was rubbing your eyes out.
4. Okay. Maddie, now what?
Times
Okay, go ahead and do that for me.
y equals 8 minus 16 plus 6.
Okay. And then my last step, I add and subtract, working my way from left to right. And it doesn't matter if it's subtraction or adding first. They're the same steps. So 8 minus 16 is 8 plus 6, which then equals.
14.
So then my y value equals
14.
14. Very good. So there's my ordered pair. Now my y-intercept, there's a real easy way. There's actually 2 ways you can find your y-intercept, but the easiest way is just to look at what? My c value. What's the c value up there, Jenna? So if I look at my c value right here, it's a positive 6. So my y-intercept, when I write it in y-intercept form, it's going to be
0, 6.
Nice job. So what we're going to do today, you guys, I'm going to give you this quadratic, and you guys are going to graph it. So everything that we learned yesterday, we're going to put in today's lesson because we need to get all this information before we can graph. Now, if I were to graph this quadratic, what kind of graph would I have? A parabola. What's a parabola look like?
The arch.
The arch, yeah. So the arch, would that have a maximum or a minimum? Maximum. Good. All right, moving right along here. Any questions so far?
How'd you get 14 for the vertex?
We took 8 minus 16. Oh, yeah, let's fix that there. What's 8 minus 16? That would be negative 8, right?
It's a negative.
That's okay. And then negative 8 plus 6. So we have negative 8. Thank you for correcting me, but what's negative 8 plus 6?
Plus 6, would that be negative 2?
Yeah, negative 2. There we go. Good catch. All right. Any other questions? All right. When I move to my second quadratic, the first thing that I need to do is find the vertex, or excuse me, the equation axis of symmetry. So how do I find that? Danny?
You have to write out the x equals negative b over 2a.
And what do I substitute for b?
12x, negative 12x.
Ooh, do I want to put that x with it?
Or just negative 12.
Just negative 12. And then what do I substitute in for the a?
Negative 3.
Very good. And when I simplify that, what's that going to equal?
Positive 12 and negative 6.
Which then equals?
2. No.
You're so very close.
Negative 2.
Negative 2. So my x, so the equation axis of symmetry is going to be x equals negative 2. So now I have part of my vertex. I have the x value, which is negative 2. So now I'm ready to find my y value. Okay, Danny helps me with that part. Ben, let's hear how we find my y value for my vertex.
Y value for your vertex. Well, you gotta replace everything with the x and the y. Like with the original.
So I'm going to use my original function, and I'm going to substitute for which value?
Negative 2, AKX.
Okay, so negative 3. So when I see the x, I substitute the value of x in there. And then this will get me what y equals. So minus 12 times negative 2 plus 3. Okay, Ben, keep going.
Okay, so negative 2 times negative 2 would equal positive 2. So
I disagree.
2 times, positive 4.
There we go. Nice. And then I'll just rewrite all this here. And then my next step, Ben?
After that, 4 times negative 3 would equal negative 12.
Okay, keep going.
After that, 12 times, negative 12 times negative 2 would equal positive 24.
And then bring down my plus 3. Okay, and then your final answer?
Negative 2. Wait. Oh, sorry, 15.
15. There we go.
Student X.
Okay. And then the y-intercept. Let's have Jenna. You told me the last y-intercept, didn't you? Logan, what's my y-intercept going to be? I agree with you. Good job. How do we feel about him now after we've done a couple more? Are we feeling a little more confident with it? All right, let's take a look at the last of our front side here. Let's have Maddie find my axis of symmetry for me, please.
X equals negative b divided by 2a.
Okay, what do I substitute for b?
Negative 8x.
Oh, wait, look again. What do I substitute? 4. Okay, good. And what do I substitute for a? So if there's a variable by itself, what number is in 1? Okay? Go ahead and simplify that out for me.
Negative 4 divided by 2.
Which then equals?
I don't know.
You just gonna quit on me? What's 4 divided by 2?
I don't know.
What number are you?
2, right?
And then it's gonna be what kind of 2?
Negative.
-2.
Oh, a calculator on me.
What calculator number are you?
I mean, I don't really need it right now.
You do! I just asked you a question, you told me you didn't know. Okay, so equation axis of symmetry, which is x equals -2, because we just solved for x there. That's gonna be the first part of my ordered pair for the vertex, which is gonna be -2. Okay, how do I find my y? Let's have Riley do this one. So I want you to find my vertex. We already have the x value for my vertex, but I need the y value because the vertex is an ordered pair. So how do I find my y value?
Y equals, 1
Oh wait, what's my x value?
or -2.
Okay, so I'm going to -2. So I substitute for x, right?
Yeah.
Plus 4, what do I substitute for that x?
-2
Okay, then what do I put?
plus 2
Plus what?
plus 1 or plus 6.
Plus 6, there we go. Okay. Moving right along. Keep going.
And then y equals -2.
Squared,
Yeah.
which is -2 times -2. Good. Then plus, or you can go ahead and multiply that out too if you'd like.
What? 4 and 2.
4 times -2, which is,
-8.
and then I bring down my plus 6. Okay. Then my final answer, y is going to equal,
I don't know how to get that.
okay, so let's break it down. 4 minus 8,
-3. -4.
plus 6,
Oh, I know that. 2.
2. So my y value is 2. And then my y-intercept, Hannah? 0, 6. Nice job. Questions on the front side? All right, let's flip it over and take a look at the back. Do that, Riley. Okay, the backslide. Consider each equation. Determine whether the function has a maximum or a minimum value. Then we're going to state what that value is. And then you're going to tell me the domain and range of that function. Okay? So, the first thing, just looking at y equals 2x squared. Is this going to have a maximum or a minimum?
Minimum.
Minimum. Why, Ben?
Because there's no negative 2x.
Very good.
Carries out to
So it's going to be a minimum. So is that going to be up or down? Which means if it holds water, it's up, open. Okay, now we need to know what the minimum value is. Well, the minimum value is what?
we have to find the x.
We're going to have to find the x. Then we're going to have to find the
Axis. Y.
the y, not the y-intercept, but the y in my ordered pair. Then the minimum value or the maximum value is that number in our ordered pair. That's the y. Okay? So how do I find my x value?
Well, we gotta do -b.
That's right. So x equals negative. Ooh.
Ooh,
Ooh.
so there's a 0.
Yeah. So 0. And what's my 2 times a? What's my a value?
2.
Okay. Well, what's anything divided by 0 is what?
0.
Okay, so my x value is,
0.
Okay, so we're gonna put my ordered pair right up here just so I know. So my, whoops, x value we said is 0. Do you guys understand why our b value is 0?
Because there's no B.
Yeah, there's no b. There's also no, so what would our y-intercept be? Yeah. Okay, so now how do I find what the y value is?
Oh, you gotta put everything in there.
What do you mean by put everything in there?
Like put the X in the equation.
So we're gonna substitute for the value of x. So you say we're gonna have y equals 2, and what is my x value?
0,
0. What's 0 squared?
0,
Okay, so then we have 2 times 0, which equals,
0,
so y equals,
0.
so my ordered pair is going to be 0. Okay, so what's the value of our minimum? Yeah. And then, what's the domain? The domain is what?
The domain is all real numbers.
All real numbers. And then what's the function going to be?
How do you make that simple? Like function.
Mhm.
It would be
Y.
y is
I like that you're looking at your notes. Do you know where to look at your notes to find that answer?
y is
Show me with your hand, this way or this way. Okay, greater than or equal to what?
0.
0. Do you like that? Okay, how do we feel about this part? Any questions on where we came up with any of the numbers? So our maximum or minimum is just our y value in our ordered pair, and we use that y value then to show the range. Okay, second one. Who thinks they can walk me through from all the way at the beginning all the way to the end? Yes, you can. Don't nod your head and shake your head no. Come on. All right, let's go.
Reacted.
Come on. Who was it the other day? I think it was in my 5th or 6th hour. Like, they made eye contact with me. And Alec Ray. Sorry, Alec, I'm talking about you. Oh, I do too. It was so funny, though, because I'm like, who can answer this for me? And he was sitting where Riley was at that time. And he looked up so fast at me. And then as soon as he saw me look at him, he went, I'm like, I'm calling on you now. I'm like, sorry. But it was so funny. Okay, Danny, walk me. What do I find first? In order? Well, first of all, this one, I gave you the easy start off. Determine whether the function has a maximum or a minimum. So just looking at this function, we're looking at the A part, right? So is it a maximum or a minimum? Okay, because it's positive. Good. So it's going to have a minimum. After that, I'm going to find the value of that. So I'm going to find the value of the minimum. In order to find the value of the minimum, I have to find what the vertex is. In order to find the vertex, I first need to find the x value. So how do I find the x value?
You have to do the x negative b over 2a.
Okay, and so what do I put in for those numbers?
2, negative 2 on top, and then 1.
Okay, keep going.
And then that is 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's your first one. Like that's your x, right?
Well, then 2 times 1 is 2, and then 2 divided by 2 is?
1.
Okay, so your x is 1. Good.
Okay, and then you have to do like the 2 times 1, which is 2.
Oh, hold
Or
on.
2 squared.
So you're telling me you substituted for all of your x's, you substituted the number 1 in there?
Yeah.
Okay. So 1 squared is what?
1.
Okay. Negative 2 times 1?
2.
What kind of 2?
Negative 2.
Negative 2, and then bring down my negative 5. Okay? 1 minus 2 minus 5s?
Is 1, right?
So 1 minus 2 would be,
-6.
okay, -1, and -5 is -6. Thanks, Riley. So your y value is -6. Good. So the minimum value is -6. The domain, all real numbers. And then the range is y is greater than or equal to, because that's what we use for our minimum. And then what is it? Y is greater than or equal to what? -6. Nice job. If I gave you guys a quiz on this right this very moment, how would we do?
I have a question
I updated all your stuff. Yes.
about the worksheet, but I'll ask after.
Let's do this last one, and then you can ask me a question. All right. You guys tell me, Jenna, maximum or minimum? Maximum. Why? There's a negative right in front of that a value. Maximum. Good. Okay. So then I'm going to use x equals negative. What do I substitute for b? Anybody?
4.
Divided by 2 times a. What's my a? What's my a?
1.
What kind of 1?
Negative.
-1. Okay, so that's going to get me -4 over -2. When I divide those out, it's going to get me an x value of what?
+2.
Good. Okay, so what did I just find? I found the x value by using what? How did I find the x value? What did I use? The equation for the axis of symmetry. Okay, now I'm ready to find the y value. So I just substitute for x. So I have y equals -2 squared plus 4 times 2 minus 1. Okay? So y is going to equal, now, it's negative parentheses 2 squared. So am I going to take -2 squared or 2 squared?
-2 times, 2 times 2,
Which is?
4.
And then what do I have to bring down in front of that 4?
Negative,
Bring that negative down. 4 times 2,
8,
and then minus 1. Okay, what's -4 plus 8?
4,
Minus 1?
3,
So my y value is 3. So my maximum value is,
3,
and then my domain,
all real numbers.
and then my range.
Y is less than or equal to 3.
Nice. Good job.
Do you have the boxes?
No. Yes.
So,
I will give it back to you tomorrow. You can, as long as you give it to me at the end of class, though, too.